The Pittsburgh Steelers had just made, in my opinion, one of the worst trades of all time, trading away wide receiver George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. And they got in return almost absolutely nothing for a top receiver, number one receiver in this league. So, if you haven't heard, George Pickens got shipped over to the Dallas Cowboys, and they also gave away a 2026 6th-round pick. What did they get in return? Well, they got a 2026 3rd-round pick and a 2027 5th-round pick. So they basically exchange late-round draft picks and only receive a third. And you might think this is a good deal, but no, George Pickens is a top 15, top 10 wide receiver in this league, still on his rookie contract, growing into his own. And if he develops even more, if he gets even better, he can become the best receiver in the entire NFL. And the Steelers got absolutely nothing in return for him. So, before I get more into the video, however, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, is George Pickens a crash out? Yes. Does he get mad on the football field at his coaches and teammates? Yes. Does he get mad on the sidelines? Yes. Do you not know what he's going to do next? Yes. But he's still a great player. He's still a player who wants to win. He does all that in the game of winning because he believes he can help his team win. He wants to be a reason why his team wins. And also, if his team is losing and the team is not doing the best of its ability to get him the football, which he believes will make the team better, he will crash out. So, it's all in the game of winning. And also, is George Pickens up for a contract extension after this next season? Yes, but he's also a player who can be franchise tagged. He's also a player who will deserve the contract that he's about to get in the $25 to $30 million range because he's that good, because he has that much potential. So you're not just looking at a player and saying, hey, we're about to spend this much money on you, but you're not a good player. He's deserving of that contract. He led the Pittsburgh Steelers in receiving after they traded away Donte Johnson in the offseason. They made him the number one wide receiver, and he proved and he paid dividends. He did his job. He made the Steelers better. He was the only really good target, good playmaker the Pittsburgh Steelers had last season, and he did his job. So he is a player who the Pittsburgh Steelers obviously didn't see going into the future with. And to be honest, why I'm saying this is one of the worst trades of all time for the Steelers is not just because they only received a 3rd-round draft pick for a superstar. It's because what they gave away to get DK Metcalf. And then they basically got less in return for George Pickens. If you remember, this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers traded away a 2nd-round pick to the Seattle Seahawks to get DK Metcalf, and you thought it was to pair him and George Pickens together, because Omar Khan in his press conference said that, hey, we need more playmakers. We need to add to this room. We want to keep George Pickens. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers obviously went back on that and decided to recoup a 3rd-round draft pick in a draft that's in Pittsburgh next season. And they did that by getting a 3rd-round draft pick. So you're basically looking at a wide receiver room right now that is worse than last year. And you made an offseason acquisition of DK Metcalf to try to fix that. But no, now you trade away the number 1A to the 1B receiver, George Pickens, and you get a 3rd-round draft pick in return. So your room in reality is probably even worse than it was last season. Because in my belief, me personally, I think George Pickens is a better player than DK Metcalf. That's my opinion, especially what he could develop into. DK's already been in this league. We've seen what he could do. But George Pickens can get to another gear, get to another level. And I believe will be a better wide receiver given an opportunity than DK Metcalf. So you get a worse round draft pick in return for George Pickens that then you spend it to get DK Metcalf. So that right there, bottom line is, that was terrible. But in reality of the situation, the guys behind you, you're basically just replacing last year's wide receiver corpse with DK Metcalf instead of George Pickens. I mean, We know how that went. The guys behind George last year were not good. They were decent, but not good. But now you're basically doing the exact same thing. But you're doing the exact same thing without a quarterback this time. Now you don't have a quarterback, and you take away targets. That's supposed to help Mason Rudolph, help the younger quarterbacks grow, even if they're not doing good. Those wide receiver targets can help open a football field and help your team win, even if the quarterback is not doing good. But now you take that away, and you're basically throwing away this season. We really wanted to see what this wide receiver duo can do, how they can become one of the best. You could have traded away George Pickens at the trade deadline and probably got the same thing for him. But no, you trade him away without even seeing what this wide receiver duo could do and if it could lead you to the next level. We've seen the duos in the NFL, like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We've seen other receiver duos in this league. The Rams just built one. We've seen other teams start building it, and they always do good. Those duos at wide receiver usually do good and make it far into the playoffs. But now you don't give the opportunity for that to happen because you have a trade that happens in the offseason before you get to see any of that. So that's why I'm saying this trade is bad, because they spent more for a wide receiver to bring in than what they got back for a wide receiver they shipped out. And you swap late round draft picks just doesn't make sense. Maybe they wanted more draft picks because the draft is in Pittsburgh next season. That's the only reason I can think about it, but this is one of the worst trades, I believe. Also, the only thing I could think of why this trade would go down right now, this early in the morning, this after the NFL draft, is because George Pickens requested a trade. But did he request a trade? We have to wait and find out. That's the only thing I can think of, that he wanted out, he demanded a trade, and the Pittsburgh Steelers granted him, and it's to the Dallas Cowboys. But this may be the case, because why would you wait to trade George Pickens after the draft? You can't find his replacement because now the draft is over. Free agency is over, so you can't find his replacement in free agency. Now you have to wait a whole nother season. So it just doesn't make sense, the timing of it. That's why I think maybe he could have asked out, but you never know. Because I'm saying this is bad, just in general. But the timing of this is also bad. Because are they really going to be able to find another wide receiver out there? No matter what the market is, trade block, free agency, draft. No, now they can't. George Pickens' hole on this roster will be felt, but now guys will also have to step up. DK Metcalf will have an even bigger role, probably just the same role that George Pickens was in last season, but Calvin Austin is now going to have the second wide receiver role once again, just like he had last season. But now he is going to have even more, because now you don't have Mike Williams, you don't have Van Jefferson, but you still have Roman Wilson on the roster who needs to step up, and some other players like Robert Woods who was just signed. So expect here some more signings at wide receiver to come. Will they be as good as George Pickens? No. Do I believe the Steelers got enough for George Pickens? No. He is a top 15 to 10 wide receiver right now in this league and can become a top 5. But all they get is a third round draft pick in return for him. I think it's a bad trade, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you like this trade for George Pickens? He goes to the Dallas Cowboys, and now they have a duo. The Steelers are supposed to have a duo with DK and him. Well, now they have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And the Cowboys add to that, adding themselves a duo with Dak Prescott, an actual quarterback. So, George Pickens, he's worth it for the Cowboys. He should pay dividends for him, and that should just be another weapon. And the kind of double teaming, they can't really do that anymore. If they double team CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens is one-on-one. And that's why DK and George were supposed to work out. And you want to see what that could do. Because if they double team DK, George would be open. If they double team George, then DK would be open. But now they didn't even get to witness that. He goes to the Cowboys, and he should pay dividends for them. It's a great trade for the Cowboys. It's a bad trade for the Steelers, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on this trade. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I know some of you want him traded because he just crashes out too much. He gets angry, and you guys don't like that. but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, just in general on this trade. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, and analysis reports. Everything surrounding this team. Doesn't matter what it is this offseason, I've covered it. I'll continue to cover it. And this trade happened so early in the morning, but it's covered either way. I'll get more into this as the days go along, but subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, and until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.